أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has allowed us to stand for this month of Ramadan and Salatul Taraweeh, something which is optional for us. Yet we come together as a congregation to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And within this Salatul Taraweeh, within the 20 rak'at that we did, there are many blessings and bounties which we have gained. So for that factor alone, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we say that all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward us and multiply the reward for us. In tonight's qira'at, in tonight's recitation, we read the last quarter of the 4th juz and also the entire juz of the 5th juz. And we began with Surah An-Nisa. And the entire 5th juz is composed of Surah An-Nisa, and Surah An-Nisa only finishes a few verses after the 5th juz. So we can say that we read completely Surah An-Nisa, except for the last few verses. Surah An-Nisa is a surah which was descended to the Prophet ﷺ in the time after Hijrah. And in a time where it was estimated that the date of the ascendance of Surah An-Nisa is 3 to 4 years after the Hijrah. 3 to 4 years after the Hijrah. And this was sent after the War of Uhud. The War of Uhud. So within this surah, there are a couple of themes, but before we look at the themes, we should understand the condition the Prophet ﷺ was in, and the Ashab, the Muhajirun and the Ansar. Who were these people? The Muhajirun and the Ansar. The Muhajirun were those who traveled from Mecca. They were practically exiled from Mecca, traveled to Medina. And the Ansar were those Muslims who received the Muhajirun. They were the Medinites who received the Muhajirun and helped them. So in this particular period, there were 3 things that was going on in the life of the Prophet ﷺ, or the development of Islam. The first one being that the Quraysh were persistent and continuously trying to eliminate any trace of Islam. So they were waging wars after war on Islam, trying to boycott, trying to do whatever they could, spread the wrong message about Islam, to eliminate Islam. Even though Islam has moved out of Mecca to Medina, the effort still continued. So this continuous prosecution was dealt with by the Prophet ﷺ and the companions. Factor number 2. Factor number 2 is that it is the first time that Islam is being established as a community, as a town, as a structured organization, with politics and rules and regulations. So every rule, from marriage to war to any rules you can think of, this was the time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was descending the laws which we find in the Quran, which we find abundantly in Surah An-Nisa. And the status of the male and the female is also established in this surah. That was factor number 2 that was happening in this particular period of time. That Islam was being established as a society. The first time that we have a dawla, the first time that we have a governing body in Islam. Because before this, Islam only existed whilst being prosecuted. So in this particular surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about 2 main themes. The first one is in regards to war. The first one is in regards to war. Because this is the first time when Islam has gone to war and taken a significant downfall. In the war of Uhud, there were 70 martyrs from the Muslims. And yet the Muslims, after they returned to Medina, the Prophet ﷺ said, for those who have gone out today to war, and these were the Sahaba who were injured, and they were bleeding and all types of injury occurred to them during the war, he said, only those companions who are with me today shall go out again tonight and will wait to face the enemies again. Because the Quraysh thought they have won the war. Yet the Muslims returned to Medina. As soon as they returned, the Prophet ﷺ says, those who are injured and are disabled and all of that has faced the war today shall return and catch up to the Quraysh who we have waged war with today. So upon hearing this, the Quraysh thought they have won and they started to camp and celebrate. A passerby says, I don't know why you guys are celebrating whilst the Muslims are at a particular point awaiting your arrival, and they have fire in their eyes. They are ready for you. So at this moment, the Quraysh took a detour route and bypassed the Muslims. So therefore the second war didn't continue. But this was a point where for the first time there were 70 martyrs from the war of Uhud. And now there was the issue of inheritance. So the Prophet, the Quran in Surah An-Nisa, it also mentions, so that's one of the laws. And another law in regards to when to engage and how to engage and what is retreat and what is fleeing from the war, and how do you pray during wartime, because prayer remains, salah remains compulsory. So a lot of ahkam, a lot of rulings and regulation is discussed. But one thing we can take away from this, one thing that we can take away, we say that today's time in Australia, in Brisbane currently now, as Muslims living in Brisbane, we don't have a war. So perhaps we might think that this ayah, or these ayat, these verses, doesn't apply to us. But Allah SWT, throughout all these verses, He says that face the enemy without fear. Face the enemy without fear. And when Allah SWT confirms that with the companions, then the companions, it only increases their iman, because they know that there is nothing better than to die in the path of Allah. But with Allah SWT saying, face the enemy without fears, how does that apply to us? When we go out as Muslims, now we don't go fighting. That's not our jihad. Our jihad is to live an Islamic life, propagate our Islamic identity, be a true Muslim. Be a true Muslim. Sometimes we feel shy that when Salah times comes and we're not at a masjid or we're not nearby to a musalla and there's people around and you know you have access to water and you know you have access to free space, but we feel shy to pray. And we know that if we don't pray now, we're going to miss our prayer. Yet our jihad, our strength, Allah SWT says, do not fear. That success lies with Allah. Sometimes we feel shy when a lady extends her hand to greet us. We feel shy to politely decline and say that I'm a Muslim, and hi, how are you? But just put your hand out on your chest or whatever, but we feel shy. We feel inclined to shake the hand. Sometimes we feel shy to check if this food is halal or not. So there's a lot of things in our life which we have to strive. And the point of the ayats, that even though it's the ayats or verses of war, how does it apply to us today in Brisbane, is that Islam is not, the aspect of spreading Islam is not only through the actual jihad of fighting, rather it's jihad al-nafs as well. The jihad that we face against our nafs. And this is a perfect checkpoint for us right now. In the month of Ramadan, we can ask ourselves, isn't shaitan chained right now? Isn't shaitan locked up right now? So why is it that we continue to do the wrong things? Why is it we continue to do the haram things? Why is it that we continue to leave our salah? Is it the whisper of the shaitan in our ears? It couldn't be. So this is the time when we have to train our nafs, rectify ourselves, and this is our jihad. The second thing that the Surah An-Nisa speaks about is the relationship within the community. So Allah SWT speaks about how a husband shall treat a wife, and the rights of a husband and the right of a wife, and the rights of a family members, and how you should interact amongst each other, amongst Muslim, amongst non-Muslim, and pretty much every aspect of life, every aspect of interaction. Surah An-Nisa covered it. Surah An-Nisa covered it. And these are all, again, verses of ahkam, verses of rules and regulation. And something that we can take away from this is a verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا وَذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينَ. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to say, be good to these people. And He starts covering from the parents, from the family members, from those who are poor, those who are below you, and those who are your neighbors, and this category and that category. And after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala follows the ayah and speaks about spending. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about spending in the path of Allah and not to be stingy. And don't encourage others to be stingy. And don't spend in a way that it will bring pride to our heart. And don't spend in a way that it shows people that you are giving. That spend in the path of Allah with sincerity. And we can extend this act of spending to any good action that we do in our life, and especially in the month of Ramadan. Whoever it might be our parents, be good to them. Might be our children, be kind to them. Speak with a kind manner. They are yet again children, and we once were children, and soon we will be elders. Even though we couldn't understand our elders why they act in a particular way, soon enough we will be elders. Allahu A'lam, we would act in a particular way, only then we understand. So understand the children of ours, that they don't have complete understanding, so be kind to them. Be kind to our Muslim brothers. In the surah also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that whenever you are greeted, greet with a better greeting. There were companions who used to walk next to each other. When they meet, they greet, Assalamu alaikum. And then as they're walking and a tree will separate them, they will go around the tree both ways and meet up again on the other side. They greet again, Assalamu alaikum. Why? Because this is a form of dua. This is a form of increasing blessing in one's life. So we must think of every aspect of relationship whilst we are in the month of Ramadan, and spend with our wealth and with our time and with our energy on others. The Prophet ﷺ says that you will not taste the true taste of Iman until you wish for others what you wish for yourself. And of course we would wish for ourselves the best, that we will enter Jannatul Firdaus. And so we shall wish for others that they achieve the same as well. So inshallah we find ourselves to increase in Iman by spending on others and taking account of our actions in Ramadan. Whilst we have the opportunity, whilst shaitan is chained up, we take account that these actions are not the action and whispers of shaitan, rather it is from myself, purely my nafs. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and protect us and continue to place barakah and rahmah upon us. وَالْآخِرُ دَعْوَانَا أَنِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ.